Welcome back, everyone. This is Tom from Cerulean Bay, and this is Tropical Escapes at Home. This week, we are going to Costa Rica. And at first glance, it might not seem like a place that really inspires interior design or interior styling at all, but actually, it's very well known for it. And one of the things I really like about Costa Rica and reading about what this country has to offer is that this country really focuses on biodiversity, and it's one of the most well-known country for the number of eco lodges that it has, eco type of vacations where everything is just very focused on nature. And so even though you can go to some really cool resorts there, a lot of them are purposely constructed in a very minimized way so that the focus is not so much on the building and the design of the resort itself, but to really showcase the nature and everything around it. And we'll get into some of that because I'm actually going to include a review of 5 of the top adults-only retreats in Costa Rica. But like we did last week with Bali and the week before that with Thailand, I do want to go over some interior design points here that show why Costa Rica has a great influence on tropical interior design and just maybe to give you some ideas of what you can do with it. As I mentioned, Costa Rica really focuses on biodiversity, and with that, in addition to just its wonderful culture and its commitment to sustainability, you can really get some very relaxing ideas. Some of these resorts there are just built and styled in a very tropical, contemporary way. It's almost something that I've never seen before, the way they can incorporate a lot of natural elements in a very contemporary, clean line, linear look. I've got a blog post about these Costa Rican resorts that I will also link to, and I highly recommend going in there for some design inspiration, in addition to some vacation inspiration too. But just to go in and check them out, some of these resorts do have the gallery pages, which I always promote, because those are full of inspiration, whether it's indoors or outdoors, and you can pick up a lot of great ideas from those. But Costa Rica, being the very nature-focused country that it is, obviously, like all tropical design, they focus on natural materials. It's all about beauty. It's all about sustainability. It's all about the natural textures and elements there. This is where you're getting into the tropical woods. They have a heavy use of bamboo, the different organic textiles, artwork. There's a lot of artisanal communities in Costa Rica, a lot of locally produced art that really tells a beautiful story too. When you showcase those in a room that's just styled in the right way, then you can have these pieces of art speak to you, and it really brings in a true essence of Costa Rica into your space there. And of course, being the tropical location that it is in Central America, it focuses a lot on natural light. So you're going to have a lot of windows and windows oriented towards the directions that bring in the most light as much as possible. You're not going to have any real heavy window treatments. It's going to be a lot of lightweight curtains, if you need any at all, depending on the privacy. And then, as always with tropical design, use mirrors where they're strategically placed because those are excellent for reflecting light into darker parts of a room, specific corners. When you get into Costa Rican interior design, there's also a big use of lighter color palettes. They don't focus on the dark ones because in general, lighter colors reflect heat. They reflect light so they can make a room brighter. But this also helps to reduce the consumption of electricity. So you'll find that a lot of places are done in brighter colors to lessen the amount of heat in the room. And lighter colors are great because they help to improve different moods, and they just help to create a fun and energetic atmosphere. So yes, always focus on the amount of light you have and then increase the amount of natural light as much as possible. Focus on those tropical plants. You gotta have tropical plants. In Costa Rica, like anywhere else, you're gonna have a lot of ferns and palms. You're gonna have a lot of orchids, really bright flowering plants. So we've got references to plants in our blog posts over at Cerulean Bay if you need to pick up some great plant ideas there. And what's really cool, again, with plants is when you're trying to create defined spaces, if you have a very open concept room, you can use plants as very informal boundaries. So you can just mark different places off in a room, create different corners, soften those architectural lines. And plants are just wonderful for creating that healthy, relaxing look. We just love plants. And then when you get into furniture and artwork, again, as I mentioned, there tends to be a cleaner design to it, a cleaner line. It's not so much like when you get into Southeast Asia with Bali and with Thailand, where there's a lot of beautiful wood. And I mean, they have beautiful hardwoods over there that they use, but a lot of it is very ornately carved. There's a lot of intricate design. It's a very busy look, but not in a negative way. It just helps to add to a more maximalist way of decorating, because now, in addition to your artwork, your decor pieces, your plants and everything, now you've got very ornately carved pieces. In Costa Rica, things tend to be more simple, more linear. Again, it's just kind of that blend of contemporary tropical, which is really, really cool. So your furniture is going to be more understated typically. It's there more as a functional purpose. Yes, there's still the decorative element to it because you want it to blend in with the color of your wood finishes, with the upholstery that you've chosen. But again, it plays more of a functional look. The furniture itself is not there to be the focal point or really tell the story. You will also find a lot of reclaimed woods. And when you're looking at things that are made from reclaimed woods, it's not just Costa Rica. India is actually very good at doing this too. You can get some beautiful imported pieces, large pieces of furniture, all kinds of different console tables and buffets and side tables, dining room tables, things like this that are made from reclaimed wood. It's not cheap, but it's beautifully done. A lot of bright colors with the deep colors, and the use of reclaimed wood is actually really good. If you're not familiar with it, you should check it out. But Costa Rica does do a lot with reclaimed wood. Local artisans there do beautiful work with that. And the overall look when you're done, it just really helps you connect with the surroundings. As I've mentioned before, in tropical design, you're going to have a lot of large open windows, sliding doors, things that open up to outdoor living spaces if possible. If you live in a regular suburban home, here in the US, sometimes that's not easy. You can have a large home with French doors or a sliding door that opens up to the back, but that's pretty much it. Whereas when you go to Southeast Asia and places like this, they can have whole walls that are literally sliding glass doors, and you really open everything up to let the indoors in. Here, it's not quite so common, but if you've got a lot of windows, you can create the same effect. And when you have a beautifully landscaped exterior, even if you've just got a little patio or a small backyard, if you've got it done nicely, that then blends with the look. It blurs that line. You get that seamless transition from the outdoors coming in. That's that connection with the surroundings. And in Costa Rica, they do a lot of that. In the resorts I'm going to review, there is a lot of that as well. Beautifully done, amazing places. And just some great resorts to go and check out in Costa Rica that you might be a little hard-pressed to find anywhere else. Just the way that these resorts are designed and how they're built. I think it's a very unique place to go and visit. So that's just kind of an overview of how Costa Rica treats interior design and the way that they construct things. Again, very simple, very nature-based, a lot of tropical textures, a lot of woods, a lot of use of glass, but very simple. Everything is kind of minimalist when it comes to architecture. And again, not a lot of stuff that's big and grand and ornate. So having said that, I think it would be cool to get into the resorts, because when you check those out, and I'll be sure to do a YouTube video about these so that you can see the imagery as well, but I'll have the links to the resorts in the show notes to this episode. And then when you go and look, you'll see what I'm talking about. Just beautifully done. And I think regardless of where you live, a lot of these aspects can be used to create the same effect when you get into what's on your walls, the type of plants you have available, what kind of view you have outside, how much usable space you have outside that's very close to the house, close to the windows, to just create that seamless transition, especially when the weather's nice and you can open the windows and you can let that fresh air in. So yes, I highly recommend focusing on that kind of transitional styling to have the indoors blend with the outdoors. It's a very healthy way of living. It's not confining. For me, it just does wonders. I absolutely love it. So having said that, we are going to get into our resorts. And when it comes to speaking about Costa Rica as a travel destination, this is one of those places that has its own rich and vibrant culture. A lot of natural beauty down there. It's a very popular place for tourists because of its close proximity to the US. You'll find a lot of Americans go there. But what's really wonderful about Costa Rica is you've got the Pacific Ocean on one side, you've got the Caribbean on the other. It is one of the most visited countries in Central America. So when you are planning a trip there, be sure to do it thoroughly and with a lot of advanced timing, because the resorts that I've come across, they're not big. So while they do have some big resorts down there, I think one of the reasons why people like to go to Costa Rica is because they can get away from the crowds. They're not going to go stay at a big, huge Marriott or a Sheraton or something where there's just crowds of people, where there's 2 and 3 swimming pools and this kind of thing. It's going to be just a lot smaller, a lot more intimate, a lot more quiet. Some of these resorts really are located in areas where there is nothing to do in the immediate vicinity. So when you go, that's what you're going for, is the resort. And we'll get into some of that. And what's wonderful about Costa Rica is because it is so close to the US, it's one of these places where you can encounter things that you would see in the South Pacific in some really far off places like Bali and Thailand. And I'm referring to things like the lush rainforests, incredible beaches, and just a beautiful range of biodiversity. It actually, in Costa Rica, it features the largest range of biodiversity in all of Latin America. And that is one of the reasons why it's the most sought after destinations worldwide. So again, just keep that in mind, because I think with these resorts, you just need some time to plan and then book in advance so that you can make sure you get the perfect room for you and you can make your travel arrangements and that there's no stress. And when you get down there, it's what you were expecting to see and do. So just a word to the wise out there. I love to advocate travel, even though Cerulean Bay is not a travel agency and we don't assist people directly booking with travel, but we'll give travel tips and we can help with referrals to some travel agencies if needed. But this I do have to put out there for people. When you are traveling to Costa Rica or really any other country and you find these resorts online that really appeal to you, they really speak to you, do be sure to check how far they are from the airport, because a lot of people will say, oh, well, I've Google mapped it and it only looks to be about, maybe 30 or 40 miles from the airport. A really good resort website is going to tell you how long it will take to get there, because what's 30 or 40 miles away could be a 3 or 4 hour journey, depending on the road conditions, depending on where it's located 30 or 40 miles away. If it's way off the freeway, way up in the hills, way up in a rainforest, it could take hours to get there. So be very careful when you are booking your trip to tropical locations, whether it's Fiji or anywhere else. What looks close on a map might take time to get to in real life. And for some people, that's a problem. They want to be able to land, especially after a big, long flight, and just get to your resort really quickly. For people flying to Costa Rica, here in Houston, it's not far, but if you're coming from New York or Seattle or someplace further, you're hours on a plane. You might not feel like a 3 or 4 hour journey when you get there. So just again, a word to the wise, be prepared with that. Really look at how long it's going to take to get to some of these places. So then without further ado, we're going to get to our first resort, and this one is called Oxygen Jungle Villas. This is truly a unique luxury boutique resort. There's only 12 beautifully appointed villas there. They only allow a maximum of 24 guests. So this is perfect for people who are looking for a very, very small crowd, a very intimate setting. This is in a remote mountain part on the southwestern Pacific coast. It is for guests 18 and older only. It is perched high in the hills above a nature reserve in the town of Uvita in the Costa Balena region, and it is a journey to get there. This actually is a Balinese-inspired retreat, so they took their inspiration from Bali when they built this, but right away that should trigger in your mind the health and the wellness, the inner peace, the meditative aspect of it, because a lot of places in Bali, that's what they're like. Here, they really focus on the peace and solitude as well. It is beautifully designed with Indonesian influences, and it really helps to foster a sense of tranquility and intimacy. Just know that while some people, when they're traveling, they really want that all-inclusive resort aspect, this one is not that. But they do have some all-inclusive packages that will include meals and non-alcoholic beverages, and maybe some spa treatments. You're going to need to check with the resort about that. But across the board, it is not an all-inclusive resort. So you do want to definitely check that out. And then a very important disclaimer, because some people, when they're at a very quiet resort, they start to get antsy. They want to get out. They want to go see stuff. This is not one of those places. If you are looking for an active social scene, if you're looking for nightlife, world-class shopping, things like golf, you need to consider choosing another resort. These things are not available at the Oxygen, and they're not available nearby. So when you go to a place like this, you're going to hang out there. Do consider that when you are thinking about a place that is up in a tropical rainforest like the Oxygen. This place, when you look at the pictures, it is phenomenal, though. It is a true tropical paradise. Each villa features the glass walls, which allow for panoramic views of the ocean and the jungle. As I mentioned before, they really blur the indoors with the outdoors, and you just have these whole walls that look out, and they're very, very private with the way that they're designed in comparison to the neighboring villas. There's a very careful use of bamboo screens, and they've got the curtains. They even use the jungle itself to provide privacy. So they take advantage of the natural surroundings there to generate the privacy that guests need. But it's a very zen-like atmosphere. It's very luxurious. They've got the king-size beds, rainfall shower heads, private terraces. They focus on the organic toiletries. If you're going to do one of the spa villas, they have the outdoor soaking tubs. So again, the focus is on peace and tranquility. And even though there is free Wi-Fi available throughout the resort, there are no TVs in the rooms. There is no room service. This is a true jungle location, so just know that you're going to find some bugs in your room, even if you've got everything closed up. When we've traveled, we've rolled up towels and pushed them up against doors and everything to keep some of those big spiders and things from getting into the rooms. But you will find some bugs that have gotten into your room. You might even find a small lizard or something like that. But when you go and stay in nature like you're doing at the Oxygen, that's just to be expected. Another note about this resort is that they use a lot of local produce. It's very organic. The chefs prepare very simple meals. They've got some very nice international dishes, but everything is locally sourced. So they've got the full bar there. And even though the resort is small, they have a beautiful infinity edge pool that overlooks the jungle. You can also take the stone hiking path, which allows for a nice 20-minute walk to a private waterfall. You're going to see a lot of local wildlife. You're going to hear a lot of it, from the howler monkeys to the toucans. They've got the tree sloths down there. They do have a lot of adventure activities available. You can go horseback riding, zip lining, bird watching, and they've got some water sports available: kayaking, paddleboarding, snorkeling. You can even go whitewater rafting. They've got all of this available to be booked through the resort. You can also go do whale watching tours. But one of the things that the Oxygen Jungle Villas is really known for, and the pictures are just amazing, they have an absolutely magical spa setting. There is no dedicated spa facility, so it's not like you go to the spa at the resort to get their full service treatments, but rather the spa services come to you. They can do treatments on the deck of your villa, or they'll actually take you down to what they call the river spa. It is an outdoor location, literally on the river in the jungle. And they will do everything from facials to different massage treatments in the running water there. I would imagine that this is probably one of the most therapeutic settings that somebody could put themselves in, to be getting a full service spa treatment when you've got the real sounds of nature and flowing water right there. And it's not some sounds that are piped in on a sound machine or anything. You are literally down in the jungle on the river's edge. It's just beautiful with the plants and the little waterfall there. So be sure to check out the Oxygen Jungle Villas online. They've got these photos in their photo gallery. And again, I'll have a link to that in the show notes. Now, normally I don't focus too much on how to get to a resort, other than maybe mentioning the major city that you're going to land in, and then the transportation that's available to get you to the place. Usually it's the private shuttles or the taxis, or you can rent your car, and then it's no big deal to get to the resort. Just know that there's only one way to get to this particular resort, and that is to drive. Even though you land at San Jose International Airport, it is a 4-hour drive. And you need to make sure that your rental car is a 4x4, because you will need 4x4 capability in the final 10 minutes of the ride. That is a very bumpy dirt road. You're going to be driving very slowly on it. but that little dirt road will take you to the resort. And I've got full driving directions on the website. That's not something that I typically do, but with some road construction that had been taking place over the last year down in Costa Rica, I went on Google Maps to get the most recent updates because sometimes these resort websites are not always up to date. And at the time that I did the blog post for this, the directions to get to the resort were outdated. So I've got the full directions there. And just to give you an idea, I'm not going to read the whole thing here just for the sake of time on this episode. But when you arrive at Costa Rica's main airport, San Jose International, you're going to drive to Uvita. And to do that, I give you directions using the main road. And then you will connect to a highway, connecting to another highway, using different towns as endpoints or reference points as you're driving. I do give a recommendation on the way down about where you can stop and take a break and have a nice lunch if you should choose to do so. But when you literally get to the town of Uvita, this is where you're going to be doing things like looking for a bank with a supermarket next to it. That's where you're going to turn left, is at this bank. And then that paved road is what starts to head towards the mountain. You're going to have to switch to your 4x4. And then you'll do things like passing a small cemetery on the right. And then you will see a sign for O2 oxygen. Then you drive by a little small restaurant/bar that borders a waterfall. And then you'll keep going over a small bridge, over a small stream. And then you've got to stay to the left because when you see a sign that says Rancho Pacifico, that's another resort that goes off to the right, which we're going to review next. But these are little dirt roads. They're going to take you through the jungle until you get to like a white walled and gated entrance. This one in particular to the Oxygen Jungle Villas. And also just a quick note, the resort really does recommend checking in well before dark, which is 6 p.m. local time there. And any arrivals after that, the resort requires you to notify them. So guests are expected to inform the resort of any arrivals that will be after 6 o'clock. And again, this is just for safety because even though I have not been to this particular resort, I have read about it, I've researched it. People who are arriving there in the dark have said it is very stressful. It's difficult if you're not used to driving in these kinds of conditions. I highly do not recommend doing it at night, and the resort doesn't either. So keep it to the daytime, check in before 6 o'clock. So that was the Oxygen Jungle Villas. Now, the next resort here is Rancho Pacifico, which is in the same location generally as Oxygen Jungle Villas. It is an 18 and older resort as well, perched high above the hills. This resort is actually a step up from Oxygen because they do provide transportation. So you're not just stuck with having to rent your own car. They do have transportation to and from the resort, and they also offer services for days spent down at the beach. So Rancho Pacifico is an eco resort. Their focus is on sustainability. They offer true peace and solitude. The particular focus of this resort is that it is eco-friendly. They are very focused on sustainability. And because of that, you're not going to find air conditioning in some of their rooms. Now, having said that, this resort is perched at about 2,000 feet above sea level. So when you're getting that high, that's where you're going to have the wonderful cooling ocean breezes, and you're not really going to need AC. It's when you come down to the beach area that it might be a lot more hot and humid. But you get up to the resort, it's very refreshing after a day spent at the beach or after visiting Uvita. So that is a good thing to know, that even though the local weather might be listed as being very, very warm, when you get up to the resort, it could be wonderfully refreshing up there. So Rancho Pacifico is also not an all-inclusive resort, but they do have an optional all-inclusive dining package, and that includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But just know that alcoholic beverages, the mini bar, and any carry-out meals, which they do allow meals that you can pack up and take down to the beach, those are not included in the package. So I highly recommend that you do contact the resort to get the most current information and pricing. And then again, this disclaimer, if you are looking for an active social scene, nightlife, world-class shopping, things like golf, consider choosing another resort. These are not available at Rancho Pacifico. They are not available nearby. So keep that in mind. And this resort's actually even smaller than the Oxygen. This one only has 7 accommodations. There's 2 suites, 2 tree houses, and 3 villas. All of them are designed to be very calming, open and airy with private terraces, absolutely stunning views. You're 2,000 feet up above there in the hills. You see the ocean down below. But again, it's a very, very small, very intimate, very quiet place to go. When it comes to air conditioning, each room is fully air conditioned except the tree houses. These are the ones that have expansive window screens. They're positioned in a way where the cooling ocean breeze just comes in. They've got big, wonderful ceiling fans in there, which really help to circulate the air. But the walls are literally window screens. So you are really going to have the sounds of nature there, but they're beautifully appointed. Again, very 5-star in the way that they're designed and decorated. So if you want to have that treehouse feeling and just have that natural ocean breeze, definitely check out Rancho Pacifico. So this particular resort, the restaurant is guests only, and the chef is going to have locally sourced seafood and different meats and organic produce. The resort has its own garden. So the menu is very focused on using the freshest local ingredients. I mean, how wonderful is that? And this particular resort is known for its pineapple basil martinis. And they also have a celery cilantro gimlet, which I've never had, but it sounds very interesting. They have a full line of top shelf spirits there in their bar. They've got an extensive wine list. When you're in Latin America, a lot of wines are South American, and there's some really good South American wines out there. But this particular restaurant is also surprisingly known as one of Costa Rica's best selections for premium bourbons. How cool is that? Now, again, it is only open to guests, so the locals can't come up there and partake. But if you are really into premium bourbons and you want to go to Costa Rica, there you go. This one could be worth it, and it just looks absolutely wonderful. Again, I highly recommend you check out the pictures. The Rancho Pacifico is also known for a wide selection of beers, and Costa Rica is known for its national brands as well as its craft beers. There is a beer that is brewed exclusively for the resort, so again, how cool is that? You can have those full-service spa treatments, as they've got the full-service spa there. A wellness package is available, and they also have all the water sports and different adventure things available. You can check with the resort to book those. And they include fishing expeditions, scuba diving, snorkeling, waterfall rappelling, whitewater rafting. So there's a lot of real active stuff that you can do, ATV riding, ziplining, and such. And again, this is one of those restaurants where you're going to encounter wildlife. And from what I've heard, the howler monkeys can be quite loud in the morning. So who needs an alarm clock when you've got your howler monkeys right outside your room? But you're going to have the toucans and the tree sloths. And then this resort will assist for people who want to have a day at the beach. So it is just a short drive away, and the resort will guide you to the best ones. You can even pack a cooler with lunch and cold drinks. They provide beach chairs, a sun umbrella, beach towels. So yes, this is Rancho Pacifico. And again, if you're going to rent that car and you're landing at San Jose International, it's going to be that 4-hour drive. But you can also have the resort arrange transportation. And that way you're not having to do the driving. So that's kind of a cool thing too, because they're going to know the way, they're used to the dirt road, and that could be a very, very cool thing. If you are one who travels by private charter plane or even by helicopter, the resort can help you book that as well. There is the smaller airport, the Capos Manuel Antonio Regional Airport, and I believe that is where they will be flying to, and then from there transportation can be arranged to the resort, and it's obviously a lot closer, so you're not looking at a 4-hour drive there. But these are very expensive ways to travel, and the resort does have a big disclaimer that they are subject to weather delays, and ground transportation might be required when you get there, depending on the time of year when you go. So even if you do book a charter plane or you're ready to go by helicopter, it is very weather dependent, and you might not be able to do that when you get there. So again, check with the resort. I've got the phone numbers in the blog post. I'll go ahead and link to that. And I've also got the links to the resorts directly. So you can go ahead and contact the resort for the most current pricing and information. Now, moving on from Rancho Pacifico, we are going to take a look at Secrets Papagayo All-Inclusive Resort. So this one obviously is all-inclusive with its name. It is a wonderful place for guests 18 and older. And Secrets Papagayo is located on Arenales Beach. It is on the Gulf of Papagayo. This is in the upper northwestern part of the country on the Pacific coast. It is in a secluded area, even though it is a large resort. It's kind of by itself out there. It is owned by the World of Hyatt, so it is part of the Hyatt hotel chain. And this is where you can fly into the Liberia airport there. And it is only a 20-minute drive from Liberia airport. Once you arrive, the attentive staff is known for welcoming you with a cocktail and a cool towel. Very nice. And it is located on the beach. A lot of great, beautiful scenery there. It is a larger resort, as I mentioned. They've got about 202 rooms and suites at last count. And each one has a private balcony. Some of them have a terrace with a mini bar. You've got 24-hour room service. You can also join the Preferred Club, which allows guests an enhanced level of luxury. So 65 ocean view suites, which have additional privileges such as access to a private lounge, concierge service, upgraded bath amenities. They're part of this Preferred Club, so you might want to check that out. But again, some of the rooms are just really cool, and I've got some nice pictures available in the blog post and, of course, on the gallery pages of these resort websites where you've just got walls that open up to the outdoors and the water is right outside. This particular resort features 7 bars. They've got 5 restaurants, and the dining is more international. Obviously, bigger resorts, you're going to have bigger variety on the menu. And because there's more than one place to eat, you're going to have a range where some are very, very casual, from the swim-up bar to the beach bars to the dressier places like the cocktail lounge in the lobby or the restaurants that offer the Asian specialties, the Italian classics. These are going to be the dressier restaurants. And as with some resorts, they'll have like a specific social hour or cocktail hour or things like this, which are just fun to get kind of dressed up a little bit and go hobnob with the other guests. So this place looks like it's a lot of fun for that. But again, there is a full-service spa available, and they offer indoor and outdoor massages. You can go as a single guest, or they do the couples massages with the sauna. They have the steam room, all kinds of really cool services available. They've got a complete on-site gym with the yoga, and then Costa Rica, being what it is, being very active-minded and very sports-minded, they've got excursions that you can do, such as riding ATVs in the local mountains. You can go on rainforest and canopy tours. You can go to rum tastings where you go to a rum distillery. They've got wine tastings and cooking classes. Of course, they've got the non-motorized water sports such as the paddleboarding and the kayaking. There's always the snorkeling and the diving. But as always, be sure to call the resort prior to going because you want to make sure that these activities are always offered and that there's no weather-dependent issues going on. One disclaimer I do want to mention about this resort is even though it's a large property and you can choose to stay on the property the whole time you're there, it is in a remote location, so there are no places off-site that are walkable. They are not in walking distance. If you want to explore the local area, we really recommend having a rental car. The nearby town of Coco is about 20 minutes away by car. Great place to visit. A lot of shops and restaurants and scenic spots, but again, it's 20 minutes by car to get to the nearest town. So this is Secrets Papagayo. And again, it's only about 20-25 minutes from Liberia International Airport. If you've got questions about how to get there, just go ahead and contact the resort. Moving on to our 4th resort. This is the Jardin del Eden Resort. Now, the Jardin del Eden, it's a family-owned resort. It is located on the northwestern Pacific coast of Costa Rica in the town of Tamarindo. And this is in the Guanacaste region. Again, it is 18 and older, and it is known for being a beautiful garden-like resort. It's only a short walk from the beach, which is very cool if that's what you want to do, is be close to the beach. And there are a variety of bars and restaurants and shops, things that are close to the resort property. So this is a great tropical retreat for those people who are looking for not only a truly personalized level of hospitality on site, but easy access to the vibrant beach life and everything else that goes with that right around. So everything is nearby, lots of stuff that you can do, walking distance. The Jardin del Eden is partially inclusive. So at the time that I did the blog post, breakfast and dinner and certain wellness activities were included in the daily rate. Other meals and alcohol are not. So I do highly recommend that you contact the resort prior to booking to see what their current inclusive packages might be. But again, at the time of this writing, it was partially inclusive. Now, this resort is smaller than the Secrets Papagayo. They've only got 46 rooms, and they really focus on more of a soothing color palette and modern art. The rooms tend to be more on the minimalist side, so the decor is very easygoing. It's very minimal. It's just got that overall more contemporary look. And from the imagery that I've seen, it's absolutely beautiful, very relaxing. They really focus on the bright, open, airy feeling. If you've got a room that has its own terrace, you could have a very spectacular view. Some rooms have their own outdoor jacuzzis on the terrace. Now, this resort does only have one restaurant, and it is known for excellent food. They've got a daily breakfast buffet, and then they've got the 3-course gourmet dinner, and the menu does change daily, though. They focus on seasonal ingredients, so you might not know what's going to be on that menu until the day that you get down there and go check it out. But they're known for a lot of local produce, a lot of fresh local seafood, traditional Latin American favorites, and the dining area looks wonderful, so it looks like a very nice place to go. Just know that there is no on-site fitness center, but again, they do have a lot of different activities that you can go and do if you want to be active. And one of the cool things too about this particular resort is the Arenal volcano is nearby. There are visits that can be arranged just to go and see that. I think it would be a really cool way to see some local scenery, a very beautiful natural setting that you're not really going to find in too many other places, because how many places have a volcano nearby that you can go and check out? And no, it is not erupting at this time. Hopefully it stays that way. But yes, this is the Jardin del Eden Resort. This one can be very easy to get to depending on how you fly into Costa Rica. There is, again, San Jose International Airport, which is about a 4-hour drive. The resort will arrange transportation. So if you are doing things in other parts of the country, this could be an option for you. Even though it's a 4-hour ride, you don't have to do the driving. Someone arranged by the resort will do that. Or you can fly into Liberia International Airport, and from there it's only a 45-minute ride to the resort. So again, not horrible. But again, the resort will help to arrange your arrival and departure transportation as needed. So that is the Jardin del Eden. The last resort we're going to cover here is the Nayara Springs Villas. This looks like an absolutely beautiful property, and it is a collection of private luxury rainforest villas that are located in the northern highlands of the country. So it is inland between both coastlines. It is only 10 minutes away from the town of La Fortuna de San Carlos, and it is in the Arenal Volcano National Park. So it's going to be in a beautiful setting, you can just imagine. La Fortuna is known for its beautiful parks and gardens. These are places that you can go and visit. The resort is only 30 minutes away from most eco excursions and adventures which are available for the guests, so that's really cool. Things are close by. This is a resort for people 18 and older, and it offers 35 beautifully appointed villas at last check. Most of these villas, if not all of them, have their own oversized plunge pool, and these are individually fed by the mineral hot springs, which flow directly from the volcano. So how cool is that? You get to enjoy the benefits of natural thermal waters in the privacy of your own villa. It's warm all of the time because of the volcano. Love that. These rooms are really, really cool because they're a blend of styles. There's like a modern eclectic thing going on here. They've got their king-size beds, the large windows, which really blur that indoor-outdoor line. There's a lot of hammocks available, just very well-designed private outdoor garden spaces. But the decor is just really unique. It's just a real cool modern blend. It's different. I think the imagery is really cool for this resort. And when it comes to dining, they do have a Michelin star quality restaurant on site. It features a lot of Mediterranean food, a lot of local favorites. There's a great bar there, of course, with the premium cocktails and the beers and the wines. They've got the swim-up bar, there's a wine bar, there's even a coffee bar. So this looks like a very relaxing place for people to be. They've got the full-service spa as well with a variety of treatments. There's a lot of wellness experiences for couples. And then there's a lot of the activities as mentioned before with the other resorts. Here you can also take nature walks. They've got bird watching tours, visits to the hanging bridge, visits to the volcano, and there is an on-site fitness center too for those of you that like to work out while you're traveling there. And given where this resort is located, you can really focus on nature. I think one of the cool things with this resort is that the activities are not far away. There's a lot that you can do. But even if you don't leave the property, it's just beautiful rainforest scenery with the wildlife there. It just looks absolutely peaceful and amazing. So yes, this is Nyara Springs in Costa Rica. So that is our little tour of the 5 amazing tropical adults-only resorts in Costa Rica. And, when it comes to this country, there's a list of questions that I have on my website. And I'm going to go ahead and, again, link to the blog post in here. And I really think you should check it out because it's very easy to get lured into different resorts online because the imagery is always stunning. It's professionally taken. Everything is edited to make everything look its best. But what I really recommend you do, and it's not just with Costa Rica, it's anywhere you go, you are spending your hard-earned vacation time, your hard-earned money. This might be the bucket list trip of a lifetime, or maybe you're fortunate enough where you can travel often and go to a lot of different places. Even if that's the case, you never want to end up being disappointed because you chose the wrong resort. So I really encourage you to research these places, see what's involved in getting there, check out the seasons, the different time of year, know the rainy seasons, know the dry seasons. This can greatly impact travel, whether it's flights, local ground transportation, charter flights, helicopters, boats, anything that is required to get to the resort can greatly be impacted because of the weather. So right there, you've got delays happening now and your vacation is off to a bad start. When it comes to Costa Rica, you really want to know what is it that you're looking for. Do you want to go to experience the natural wonders? Are you the active one that is going to go hiking and taking the nature walks and you don't mind the long trips to go whitewater rafting and go kayaking or getting down to the beach? Or do you prefer the resort experience where everything's at your fingertips? It's right outside your door. You just walk down to the beach and they've got beach service where they'll bring you lunch and bring you drinks on the beach. There's full-on pool service available. You have to make sure you choose the right resort because I have read things and it's just absolutely shocking sometimes when I read TripAdvisor, Kayak, on Reddit, other places where I'll go to do research. All of this information is available online and people don't look. And then I read the reviews of the resorts as if it's the resort's fault that somebody chose the Oxygen Villas or Rancho Pacifico and they didn't know that it was a 4-hour drive. Or they just recently had back surgery or neck surgery or some surgery, and that last 10 minutes in the super bumpy 4x4 trip was virtually not doable. They claimed to not be aware that they were going to have this ride when it's on the website. And I've seen it because I do my research. And that's another reason why I love to do these podcasts is because I'll put it out there. Anybody listening, just know if a 4x4 is required anywhere to get to the resort and you've had recent surgery or you've got back issues or neck issues, don't go because the resort is not responsible if something happens to you and you get injured on the way. And it's just going to ruin your trip. Why would you want to put yourself through that difficulty when any doctor is going to tell you you shouldn't be doing that? And the same thing when it comes to the activities that are available. If most of the activities are ATV riding, whitewater rafting, zip lining, things that require some kind of physical condition, or there's just going to be exertion, jerky movements, things like this, don't go to a resort that focuses on those things when you might just want to go sailing or maybe snorkeling or, just be doing the quiet things. Those are the kinds of resorts you should be focusing on. And so I put together this list of questions. I've got it on the website here. It's very easy to dream of experiencing rainforests and jungles, and that's very easy to do when you're on your beautiful balcony and maybe it's raining outside and you've got the howler monkeys going and you're sitting there with a good glass of Cabernet or your favorite beverage, but then you want to go and do something else nearby and there's nothing else to do. So something else to think of. How much of the touristy thing do you like? Do you want to visit the local villages, local things that tourists can do, cultural sites, things like that? Do those need to be walking distance? Or is it okay if they're 30 minutes away by car? If it's 30 minutes away by car and the resort doesn't offer transportation, are you comfortable having a rental car in a foreign country? Some people are, some people aren't. Just more details that you need to look at. Another thing is the amenities. I was absolutely shocked when I went to Fiji and people were complaining about the AC in the bures. You've heard me mention Matangi Private Island Resort. It's a 5-star, all-inclusive, absolutely mind-blowing, beautiful place to go. And there are guests that are disappointed because the AC does not turn your bure down to 60 degrees like you can do here in the States. It's just a very simple, well-functioning unit that's mounted above the bed to keep you cool at night. But during the day, it's 85 degrees in your bure. It's not meant to be at 70 degrees. Again, this is all information that's on the website. People don't read, so I'm just putting this out there. What amenities do you require? Yes, these are tropical luxury resorts, but that doesn't mean you're going to have all of the amenities and functionalities at your fingertips like you would here in the States, or maybe at a place in Europe. So when it comes to no TVs, no telephones, no Wi-Fi, that doesn't just apply to Costa Rica. There's a lot of places that are like that. AC, if AC is a must for you, consider that when you're booking, because a cooling ocean breeze might not be enough if that's all they've got. And then there's the weather conditions. I've mentioned it before with the rainy seasons. I've heard stories in my travel where hotel staff get berated by guests because it's raining outside, as if the hotel has any control over the weather. Check your rainy seasons, check your dry seasons. We at Cerulean Bay are always going to recommend traveling in the off seasons because that's when it's most cost effective. That's when you have the least number of crowds. Airfare is lowest. Resorts have great deals, but it could be the rainy season. It could be hot and humid. It might not be ideal weather-wise outside. So just pay attention to that. So go through the list of questions in the blog post. Again, I'll link to it in the show notes, because it is my hope that when people travel, they have the absolute best time possible. There's the whole therapeutic end of it. It is relaxing. It's mentally rejuvenating. It's physically rejuvenating. You come back home and you are restored, you're revived. Hopefully you are taking what you've seen and learned and connecting it to create your own tropical space at home so that you can continue that experience to the extent that it's possible, because who knows when is the next time you're going to be able to get to an awesome tropical resort. For most people, it's not very often. So that's why I really, really recommend creating your own tropical escape at home, because it is so healthy. It is very therapeutic. It's just good for the mind. It's good for the soul. It's good for the body. So with that, hopefully you've enjoyed this little tour of Costa Rica here. Use these tips that I've offered for other countries that you plan on experiencing. And if you do want to create your tropical escape at home, I've got a link to Tropical Designs at Home. This is our online interior design program. It is wonderfully put together. It will guide you at a very, very low cost about everything you need to know about creating your tropical escape at home, so you're not having to call in the expensive designers and contractors and all of this unless you absolutely need to. There's so much that people can do on their own, even if you're not really a do-it-yourself person. There's a lot of this that is very easy to do, especially when it comes to the design aspect of it. When you learn about what colors you really like, what is it about tropical woods that you like, and then the art and the decor and the flooring and just everything that goes into the styling of a space, the interior of a space. You don't have to hire a professional for that. These are things that you can figure out on your own. And in Tropical Design at Home, we show you how to do that. So you will save a fortune by going through that little program. And there's also the assessment in there that we offer, the self-discovery assessment, which helps you uncover exactly what is it about the tropics that you like? What is it that you don't like? Those are the things that you can instantly avoid when it comes to creating your tropical escape inside. So check out Tropical Design at Home, and I've got a link to that in the show notes as well. And it's really my hope that you'll share this podcast. I'm really trying to grow my little audience here, and I'd love for more people just to know about this podcast. I'm available to be a guest on other people's podcasts because I really want to help share the news and spread the news about the tropics and interior design and how you can create that tropical escape at home for your own personal well-being. So help me get the word out there. Share this episode. Share everything you can about Cerulean Bay. I would certainly appreciate it. I just want to mention really quickly that for those of you who are interested in a faith-based podcast as well, who just need a little bit of extra prayer and support to get through some tough times in life, I did start another little podcast called Keep Praying, Stay Strong, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes. But for anybody who, again, just needs a little bit of prayer and support, feel free to tune in over there. Those episodes are very brief. They're based on just a little bit of daily scripture and then a meditation from the Word Among Us, a little Catholic magazine. And again, they're just very short and to the point, but they're there for you if you should need them. So with that, I wish you all just an awesome week, a lot of health and happiness, a lot of tropical inspiration. Just be kind to one another out there and just live the tropical mindset. You're gonna love it. Have a great one, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.